So hello, Annyeong Yorobin. This is Deepika, and I again welcome you in this series called Dialogues with Deepika, where we invite armed and not so armed people to have the conversation that goes beyond the armed genre. Today we are being joined by someone whose life has been navigating in different channels, and we'll be talking about even more. So, without any further ado, let's begin. Hello, Abhinandan. Welcome here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Basically, like I've stalked you a little on LinkedIn and Instagram to know more about you. So, you have done your bachelor's from Stephens.
Yep.
You have been diving into different streams, different channels. You have been navigating in almost every sphere. You're almost everywhere. He is also someone who hosts a show at Sunset TV and Doordarshan, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And now he's a student at law faculty. So let's begin from the very beginning. Let's remove all these achievements or these degrees and now let's start. Who are you? Like, as in, who is Abhinandan? How he has been since childhood? Has he been always this ambitious? And what was his goals from the beginning?
I think that,
So, like,
I was quite different earlier. There's a stage in my life, you can divide my life into stages and two main stages. The first was, I believe, when I used to live in Mumbai actually. Most of my early life, you can say from the ages of, say, 2 to 9 or 10. That's a period where I lived in Mumbai, those, foundational kind of years. And there, the kind of culture, the kind of people that I used to see, that was very different. And then all of a sudden, when I was in fourth grade, I shifted, to Noida, to UP, and joined DPS Noida there. And then the kind of culture, the people that were there was very different as compared to what I was very comfortable with earlier. So that, sort of shook me up. And for a few years, I'd say from fourth to 10th grade, I wasn't, the way you see me now. I mean, interacting with people without any kind of, any hesitation, and being an extrovert and trying to participate in most of the things, trying to be outgoing. That's not something that I used to do earlier, because I saw this change, this cultural shock. But eventually, when, in 10th grade, there was, it was a time, I've also talked about this in other videos of mine, wherein I thought that I should just leave everything and I should go back to Mumbai, and I should, I had my friends there. I'll just restart my life there and restart school there, complete everything there.
oh.
So that's something that I wanted to do. But then there was a teacher of mine in DPS Noida, and she was the one. She was someone who I could share anything with. So I shared this thought with her, and then she said, "No, you shouldn't do this," and she gave me some sort of confidence, saying that I can see that you have, good skills and you have good potential. So why not use it positively? Why not try to adjust, understand? Don't box yourself. So that's something, I tried to bring within myself. I started participating, talking out to more people, getting rid of that hesitation. And that sort of has, brought me to who I am right now. So I was a shy, introverted kid, and now I am, I've changed that, but the core remains the same.
You have been evolving since childhood, like, if I have to sum that all up. Okay, let's talk about your school journey, how it has shaped you. Like, since you have mentioned that one of your teacher pushed you in a direction where you should explore yourself, where you should actually polish yourself and go out and figure out things by yourself. So how it has been and how it has helped you in your Stephen's Valley journey.
I mean, it's helped me a lot. I'd say that the foundational period, I mean, I'd say when I changed from 10th grade to 12th grade, that period was a time that, as you mentioned, I evolved a lot. A huge transformation, occurred, wherein I started talking to more people, started participating in more events, hosting events and everything. And that, I'd say, it gave me a sort of confidence, right? Because earlier I was a kind of person who would be very shy, as I mentioned earlier, and I'd I'd sort of overthink things, before, say, there's a debate competition that's coming up. So before even applying, I'll start to overthink. Oh man, can I do that? Ho paega, nahi ho paega. What's the scene? So those are the kind of things, Then I used to just skip the opportunity. I or any kind of thing in life. But then that period, it changed me. It evolved me. As I mentioned, the teachers, there were other teachers as well. So all, my entire foundation, and it's not a, I would say, a linear journey. As you mentioned, there were a lot of places where I also made mistakes. There were a lot of friends of mine who I lost touch with, because I may have got very preoccupied with other different things that I was, participating in. And sort of there was a clash of opinions. So there are mistakes also that I've made in that journey. But all in all, it sort of gave me the confidence and the belief within myself that, I can, whatever I set my goal on, whatever I set my eye on, I can, if not achieve it, I can make the best efforts towards it, right? And that sort of is a kind of thought process that I had even when I was applying for Stephens. At my time, we had that system. We didn't have the CUET UG system that we have now. That time, that's 2019. So we had to score really good in our board examinations. And I believe Stephens was one of the only colleges in DU which had, a filtering out process wherein you've scored well, okay, you clear the cutoff like any other college. In most of the colleges in DU, the process ended there. You clear the cutoff, you have the required subjects, go and take your admission. But in Stephens, you had a filtering out process wherein, okay, you cleared the cutoff, you'll be given a date. You'll have in the morning, you'll have a written test with respect to the subject that you've chosen. And then in the evening, you'll have an interview. So that was the kind of process. Now it's all scrapped. Now it's just CUT, UG.
There's no
Yeah.
interview.
There's no interview now. It's only for Christian students. It's not for the general students. So
General students need
they
not.
don't have to give
Oh,
any interview now.
that's
So
new. That's new.
yeah, yeah, that was a case and everything. I mean, if you guys are interested, you can read about it. Back in 22, it was scrapped. So yes, I mean, the kind of confidence, that I can score well in boards, because since, I didn't have that confidence when I came to Noida. I wasn't very good in academics as well. I always used to underestimate myself and, not aim for all of these kind of things. I used to think, yeah, it's something that's out of my reach. Why disappoint myself by aiming for something that I can't achieve? But now that thought has, that thing has changed. I look at life from a more different perspective, and that was, the kind of person I was when I joined Stevens. Yeah.
Ah, well, the younger Abhinandan will be very proud of the present Abhinandan, considering very introverted, shy kid he was. So, if 14-year-old or 10-year-old Abhinandan is looking at you, how you have grown up and how the choices you've made, will he be proud?
I I'm not sure. I mean, I don't remember what were my goals at back then, but I mean, I would prefer it doesn't, look at me, because if he looks at me, yeah, I mean, we that kind of situation doesn't come up where he knows what I am doing right now, because, you know, for once, that entire natural journey wouldn't have followed. There would be a lax attitude as to, okay, I've set my goal. Now if I see my future self, and if I see that whatever goal I right now I have, say within 10 years, I see my future self and I see that, okay, I've achieved that goal, then I'd be lax. I'd say that, oh, that's destiny, that's something that I'm already going to get. Why make efforts towards that? So that's one thing. So that's why I will not prefer that. And the second thing is that I've also made a lot of mistakes. So if that past self sees me, he will know about those mistakes and won't make those mistakes. But I would want him to make those mistakes, because they, sort of taught me a lot of things. They made me more cautious, and now I won't repeat them. So those are some of the things, like reasons why I would not want, him to see. But in any case, if there's a hypothetical situation where he does see, definitely I think some way or the other, he'll be happy, because a lot of things that I wanted it came to fruition. Some of my goals I was able to accomplish, but there are many core goals that I have not yet accomplished. So he would be sad also. I mean,
We will
balanced
be
feeling.
talking about those goals as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So you have done your school. You are entering Stephens. So how your Stephens journey was, considering you've mentioned that you entered in Stephens in 2019, and I'm assuming by 22 you were graduated. But at the same time, there was COVID. So how was the COVID and your college life has been?
Yeah, I mean, that is something very unique. That's not something you hear from, students of every batch. So basically, my college, it started in 2019 July, And I remember the date very vividly. It was, I think, 19th July 2019. So the first semester, it was quite exciting. It was something very new. You have new freedom, as compared to your life in school. You meet new different people coming from different parts of the country. So you develop a broader kind of perspective and make good, strong friendships. So that was that. But then again, first semester very good. Then when the second semester started after the examinations, I think it was mid January, or probably first January itself. I think in UG you don't get those holidays, unlike law. So, but yeah, so it started, and then I think our classes, they went on till around February end or so, and then we had the mid sem break. So that kind of journey, it was like any other. The only different thing was that you're getting to meet a lot of different people. So my perspectives, I mean, in school I've met the same people for years, right, apart from a few new admissions in 11th or in 12th. So meeting new people, that sort of, they challenge what you believes, your hard held beliefs, your opinions. So that kind of conflict of opinions, how to handle a disagreement, how to put your thoughts, what you believe in, more clearly, right, and present them, that is something that those few months had taught me. And then going beyond that, we had COVID. So there was a lockdown, and I remember that our second semester examinations were cancelled. And then the third semester started, and we had online classes. We were figuring out Google Meet and Zoom. These were all new things, and I believe Zoom was free then or something of that sort. So our classes were initially held on Zoom. And I still remember the first class was that of political science. And it was, I think, 8 a.m. in the morning, and we were all very serious. But then a notice was released that attendance would not be counted for this semester. So that seriousness had faded, and no one was attending any classes. I was particularly very happy because I my attendance wasn't that up to the mark when during the offline classes. And there was one thing that I hated the most. I don't know whether it's being followed even now in DU. That was the tutorial classes, right?
Oh, yeah.
So those tutorial classes, I hated them because I didn't sort of, I was not the kind of person who is studying daily and keeping track of what's happening in classes daily, and memorizing those things. But in the tutorial classes, the pretext is that tutorials are held so that students can clear their doubts. But what used to happen with me was that the teacher used to clear her doubt about the students, whether they are studying or not, whether they are paying attention in class. And definitely I wasn't at that time, so it was a very tough kind of thing for me. And if you don't attend the classes, then the teachers would get angry, and you'll get scolded. So I was very happy that these classes were it completely removed. Even,
But sorry to cut
yeah.
you off, but I think in Stephens things were pretty much stricter than other due colleges, if I'm not
Yeah, I mean,
wrong.
that's the common belief, but I'd say it's like any other college. The only thing is that I don't know whether it's followed even now, but as first year students, we were supposed to attend the morning assemblies. So that was one thing, and the attendance was taken for the same, but there wasn't much difference. I mean, it's I think it's an older notion kind of thing, and
Was
probably,
that assembly was a compulsion?
yes, it was compulsory. So if you didn't attend it, and I think you don't fulfill the minimum attendance criteria, 65% to 70%, then you'd get called. And I mean, that's not something I had to face though. I used to attend the morning assemblies because, unlike the classes, they weren't boring. The different things that were being discussed there, and each day we re our principal used to read out something, or someone from the faculty used to read some teaching from some text, and we used to talk about that. So it was very interactive. It was a good thing, I believe. But then the classes were boring, so
Obviously,
I used to
classes.
yeah, I used to avoid them, and I was involved in other things, dramatics and so on. So that was a thing. And then, okay, so I'm coming back to our discussion. So tutorial classes done, no issues now. So I was very happy, and the normal classes also वैसे ही attend नहीं कर रहे हैं, अभी तो करना ही नहीं है. So that was a very good thing. But then again, the price that we were paying is that we're missing out on our essential, the building blocks of life, the essential years of life, where you the major foundation, so where you perfect your foundation. So that was that. And then this continued on for a long time. And I think that it was during that period, I also made a lot of friends who were avid YouTubers. Like I don't know, I mean, your viewers would know him, I believe they would know him, Tal Entertainer. And
He
there
was a big
was,
deal back then.
yes, huge deal. He is now a big deal, but in a different niche. Yeah. But
Back then, he used to give all the due updates about the admission procedures and everything.
he's a travel vlogger now, but
Yeah.
earlier he used to make videos on, education, on DU admissions. So even when I was taking admission in DU, I was a fan of his. Incidentally, when I was in my first year and first semester offline, I got the chance to meet him and everything, interacted, exchanged numbers. And then when 2020 COVID pandemic hit, so all the admission process, it all went online. So there were a lot of problems that we students were facing, my juniors, our juniors were facing in admissions, because they can't go and look at the college, how it is, the infrastructure, everything. There's no offline document verification. For the first time, everything was shifted online like it is now. So that's why most of these YouTuber friends of mine, especially Tal Entertainer Bhaiya, he started this initiative. He said that I can mention your name or some other people's name for queries, and you guys can solve the queries. You can read the bulletin, because not everyone is so privileged that they'll know what is written, what the procedure is, or how a college is from within. You have the experience, you go ahead and do it. So that's something that I took up with a few friends of mine, and through that we were able to interact with tons and tons of students. So although there were no classes, there was no physical interaction, but there was, my entire COVID years was filled with tons and tons of interacting with different people, sort of knowing their perspectives and trying to help them out in any way that I can. And even now I keep meeting a lot of people from my college and law faculty who turned out to be the juniors who had guided at that time, and now they are my seniors. So that is something that will, I think, it'll keep sort of linking up. But yeah, apart from that, COVID years was mostly uh, within my home. I didn't go out much. I was very cautious about the situation. And then in 2022, I remember there was a massive protest in Delhi University to open up the university, because COVID was sort of fading out. So the university was opened up in February and in March, and then all of a sudden, we started to interact with others physically, and started to meet people. And so that was a change. And then gradually, we had our examinations, and then that was a major shock to us, because last offline examinations that we gave was when we were in our first semester in our first years in 2019.
First and last.
Yes, and then the last is the one that we are giving offline. Rest were, I think, cancelled or
OB.
open book examinations, so they were very easy. So that was a shock. And then post that, I started preparing for UPSC civil services. That's another part of the story.
Yeah, so basically during COVID, you actually found your Aapada Mein Avsar wala moment.
Yes, you can say that. And basically Apada was something that people were facing. So we tried to be the upsir that we can sort of help. So
Yeah.
that was a, it was a period, it was a tough period as well, I'd say, because a lot of people who I knew were close to me, I did lose them as well, especially during the second wave. That was like a very depressing
Yeah,
phase
yeah.
for everybody, I believe. But still, we made the most of it. And sort of I have some some sort of nostalgia for that time as well, connecting to, interacting with so many people, and the thing that I was doing. So but yes, all in all, it's it's life, it keeps happening.
आई थिंक इतिहास से पहली बार होगा कि वी आर एक्चुअली गोइंग थ्रू अ पैंडेमिक and still making through the degree, and that too we have just given two exams, the first and the last one. so
Indeed, indeed.
so it was a kind of roller coaster journey in itself. So after your exams happened, after like you have decided that you'll be preparing for civil services, but since you mentioned that civil services was the actual plan, but now you are navigating your life, channelizing your energies in different ways, whether it is journalism, whether it's law policies or the fellowships you must. And about the internship you are doing at Niti Ayog, yeah, he's doing the internship at Niti Ayog as well. So it's just not putting yourself, you're not putting yourself in a box, not giving yourself one title, but rather just being everywhere, literally. So how that shift happened from civil services to journalism? Have you done any courses of journalism, or like tell us more about it?
Yeah, I mean, see, for 3 years, I think more than 3 years, you can count a bit of the COVID period as well, because I started preparing for this exam in 2021. And then for a brief period in 22, the colleges they opened. So, we all became lax and we had the offline exams. Then I started preparing for it again. So for almost, you can say, 4 years, I was sort of in a small room. I kept my mobile phone away. So you can see the the kind of dichotomy that, on one hand, I had a great deal of interaction with so many thousands of students online in 2020, and the very next year I'm just switching off my phone and deactivating my Instagram and everything, and I'm just keeping it inside, and I'm just studying. I'm just with the books. I cut down on social interactions and everything, because I thought that this is the way that we should, approach it. And I thought that this is a process wherein I can get in through the first attempt itself. I was thinking about it as board examinations of that kind of thing, but clearly it didn't work out. I gave my first attempt in 23, then my second in 24, and then in 25 my third attempt. But by then, I realized that I shouldn't box myself, because this examination, and with respect to anything in life, it's always things are uncertain, so we should have a sort of a plan B or something that we can always back on, right? Then I thought that a good backup would be law, because as I was studying for UPSC, many aspirants watching here would also relate to this, that we read a lot about the constitution, about different landmark judgments. And when I was reading about these things, I started to like it. I started because it's very relatable. You read about some provision in the constitution, you can relate it to the world that's outside, and you can relate it to the things that you read in the newspaper. So things which we relate to are much easier to study, and that's why I started to like the subject. And that's the thing. So I thought that why not go for law as sort of as a backup. And at the same time, many of the things that I learn in law, I can use it in UPSC as well, if I ever decide to give another attempt. So that's why I decided I'll take up law. I'll give CUET PG, and I got admitted into Law Center 2, Faculty of Law, University of Delhi in 2025. And at that time also, I started other things, like she mentioned, anchoring. So anchoring on Sunset TV, I had a youth podcast show there. We shot a few episodes. Then right now I'm freelancing with Doordarshan. So there's a show named Dhadkan Dilli Ki, which I host. I mean, I don't host every episode, but whichever episode may require me, it's policy oriented or something of that sort. So I get the opportunity, and they feel that it's fit, and I host that. And apart from that, I formed some youth organizations, like there's Young Sapiens and Young Sapiens Media Network, that I established along with a junior of mine. We're co-founders. So that, and youth advocacy platform. And then I got to work and meet a lot of different amazing people also at that time, when I started to open up, gradually. And then in 2025, from I believe 1st August, my classes started in law, and that's a whole nother story.
So, like, you were doing so many things at one point of time. Were you not exhausted? And how you were managing all that up? Like, being on TV, on being on like on Sunset TV or Doordarshan simultaneously. As you mentioned that you and your juniors made some Young
Media
Sapiens,
Network
yes.
and Young
So
Sapiens.
like there were many things which you were doing simultaneously. So how busy you were, and how you were like, because considering you must be in your 20s, you must be in your early 20s, if I may say.
Yes.
Yes. So because at this age we try to divert our sort of energy or attention to the things like as a normal 20s person do, like apart from academics they try to enjoy, and apart from building a life or career, they try to build something along with their friends. They want to go and travel, but at the same time you were diving in the fields. They were totally sort of opposite from each other, because एक तरफ there's this academics, एक तरफ there's this something you are building a network sort of thing via podcast or via social media things. So how you were managing all that thing, and considering you have mentioned that you'll be preparing for civil services as well, how you are managing all that thing, because now your law journey has also begun. So how you are navigating this whole thing?
Think that different people have different things that they want from life. So I completely understand. I mean, people would there are a lot of my friends who like to go on trips. Jab bhi koi chutti hoga, thoda like there's a long weekend, then they'll go on a trip, they'll also call me up. But obviously they always receive a no from me because I'm busy doing other things.
They're
So
still resilient, they still ask you.
yes, they do. In fact, a friend of mine did ask me, I think 4 or 5 days ago. But again, I mean, he got the answer he usually gets. So yeah, I mean, people like different things. People would like to, have that give more, sort of emphasis on building such relationships or going on trips and parties and all of those things. And I won't say that I haven't done those things. I definitely have done those things in school and in college as well for a brief period. But then post my UPSC journey, I'd say that sort of prepared me for what I'm doing now. So what was my schedule like? I was in a room in my home. My parents, I used to have breakfast with my parents. They both are working, so they used to leave for their own work, for the office. And then I was all home alone, and I used to focus on work the entire day. And many of the UPSC aspirants would relate to this. Entire day you're just reading polity or attending, you're attending some class, or you're making notes, you're revising. So you're just working. There's no, technically what is considered as fun. That aspect is missing. You're not going on trips, you're not talking with friends. That's not what I did. I was not interacting with anyone at that point. No social media, nothing. So completely cut off from that aspect. So doing that for 3 or 4 years, I believe that shaped me. But then once that ended, again I was back to square one. I gave up the phone, and I was completely off any kind of social media. Occasionally, maybe in once in a month or in 2 months, I would speak to a friend, or there were a few friends in the place where I used to live in the society, so I used to meet them in the birthdays or some special event. But otherwise, it was completely off. It was all work. So therefore, that sort of prepared me for what was about to come. And at the same time, I've always, post, as I mentioned in my journey, post 10th grade, I've always liked to be involved in as many things as I can, push the limit of myself, and try to do new things which I may not be that comfortable with. So I try to do that, and if I like it, I'll constantly do that, because now the UPSC journey prepared me for a kind of a life where I don't, I can keep working and not sort of expect any kind of break as well. And I sort of, your mind starts to enjoy that as well. You get a dopamine rush when you complete a very difficult task, and that's what I get. And the main thing is that I like doing those things. So it's something that I seek my enjoyment from, just like how some other person would be getting their own enjoyment and their own dopamine from going on visits or building relationships and all of that. So
But the thing is, isn't it not weird, but it's weird in a good way that if weird in a good way, as in like here we are. Weird in a good way, like when we are preparing for UPSC, we are in a box, like in just a room, but it prepares you to think out of box. So it's weird in a good way. That's what I wanted to
yes, that's true. I mean,
say. Yeah,
UPSC, it's a UPSC paradox.
yeah. So, after UPSC, you've started diving into journalism and everything, right? And after journalism, like you realized that you should go for law. And now, since you are in law, how is it going?
It's going well. So about journalism, I believe you asked me and I forgot to answer.
Yes,
So
yes,
I
yes.
didn't do any course or any specific sort of things. It's just a passion of mine. So I used to work with a students' newspaper called DU Beat, and I believe they're still active in Delhi University. So I think it's India's largest run student newspaper. So when I was in my first year in 2019, I was a correspondent with them, and we used to also in 2020 we used to make videos as well, fun videos with them. So I used to write a lot. I used to like writing articles a lot. I still do write regularly.
Yes, yes, I have read
So
that.
so I do that. And then apart from that, when I was in my school, and then the brief college period where we have the offline classes in first semester, I was anchoring in a lot of events, and I sort of liked it. Liked talking and presenting different things in different ways. So that is the thing that I was doing, and that sort of linked with what I do now in journalism, because that's something I enjoy. I didn't want to professionally take it up. It's just like a hobby. Whenever I get the opportunity, I will jump in for it, and I will do it. So it's something I enjoy, and no professional degree, no, whatsoever. But it'll be good. I mean, I may consider getting a degree in
You
that.
have mentioned that in back in your bachelor's, you were active as writing blogs or for news articles. So basically, you were preparing the base already.
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, in
Yes.
a way one can interpret, but that's nice. So like now, after this law, are you planning to go in this field and like in depth, or journalism, or you're gonna stick with the civil services plan?
Well, I think that I'll be open to all options, because that's what I've realized, that I should be open to all options.
Okay.
So law has a great deal of scope as well, because when I started my journey in law, I it was, as I mentioned, back in August 1st, 2025. So there the same thing happened after such a long kind of hiatus of 3 years I am going back into the university, and meeting a lot of people again, building a lot of, making a lot of friends, building networks. So I started to like that as well. And then, the subjects, I even contested elections in my college, and there's a lot of
Yes, that was a big deal. I actually follow him on Instagram, so where he was so active during the elections, and even I was rooting for him. He should win, and I think you still you hold some position there, right?
Yes, yes, I am the media president of the Delhi University Students Union.
Media. That's
Media
that's your
president.
calling. I'm saying it.
Yeah. That's why.
So yeah, how was the election?
It was a good experience, I'd say, because I was able to. I mean, I've written about this also in great detail in a blog. That, although I lost by 11 votes,
Oh, 11.
and
That's close.
yeah, I mean, but the kind of, friendships that I was able to make, it was like, I haven't lost real. In reality, I haven't lost. I may have lost the elections, but in life, I have won. That's what I was, of the
Big
opinion of.
words.
Yeah. Because that's how I ended my piece, because I was able to make so many good friends, and I was able to meet people, I was able to learn a lot, because my college Stevens wasn't associated with Delhi University Students Union, so we never saw what happened in those elections from close corners. I did contest in Stevens as well, and I was a student union member there. But the type of elections, that the way you contest and all of those things, they were all very different. This was a completely different experience, and this is the true experience, I'd say, because this is what is replicated in other colleges, and faculty of law is a hub. So it was a great experience. I learned a lot, and I made mistakes along the way. I also, I'd say that I got the skill of how to understand how a person is, read a person basically, because a lot of people who also, were very close to me and are not now. So, and there are a lot of people who are close to me and they have sustained that, and we are still very good friends and help each other out. So that's one thing. And it also gave me, a sort of a, it helped me further my purpose, because one of the major aims of my life, I believe, is to help as many people as you can. That was why, even back in 2020, I'd agreed to that initiative by Talent Entertainer Bhaiya and others, because I think that we all, most of us are, have this kind of privilege. Especially, I believe that I have a privilege. I didn't have to ever worry about finances. My parents were able to afford a good education, and were able to send me to the best schools, and had a stable life. Everything was very good. So therefore, if I have been born, like if I'm born with some kind of privilege, I believe that I should share that also. I should take out some time to, help those who may not have that, or at least tell people that I'm here to help you. I mean, if you have any other issues, you do let me know. If there's anything in my capacity, I'll do. So the elections helped me in that, because the elections, it brought me, it gave me a view about the kind of expectations, problems that students who are coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities, who didn't have the privilege that I had, are facing. And then, for example, very brief example is that many of the students, there are so many opportunities, like conferences, you'd say Raisina dialogue, or different things that keep happening, or fellowships, or internships, simple things. Now those students, they're brilliant, who come from such towns. They have those skills, they have a good command over language, they are perfect for those opportunities. But they are not able to get it, because there was no awareness about those opportunities. They didn't know that such opportunities exist. It's so easy to get into a conference, it's so easy to get into such internships with the amount of skills and knowledge they had. So that's the thing that I noticed, and for that I started the Udan initiative, because that was one of the things in my manifesto as well.
Udan initiative for the law.
Yeah, Udan is in general an initiative,
Okay.
mainly in law, because I'm in law faculty now. But it's open to all. So there we, basically we host sessions on CV, LinkedIn, how you can strengthen them, and then mooting, and then law aspects, as if when we have the examinations. So a month before the examinations, we'll have sessions with toppers, wherein they'll come and explain how to approach the particular subject, how to study, and then share their RTI answer copies, so we get an idea. So that kind of thing. And there are few WhatsApp groups as well that we have, where we constantly share the main core, that we share opportunities that are very easily available, and that we believe the students can easily get. So we keep sharing that, and then if there's any doubts, like if any person doesn't know how to make a CV, they'll reach out, and then we can help them. So me and a group of my friends, few of my friends, we've started this thing. So that, and other things as well. I mean, I was able to get, I'd say, a glimpse of the real India, in my time in law faculty. So it's fun. it's a good experience that I have. And how I will manage it with UPSC, well, that's a challenge, and I like to take challenges, so I'll that's
Ready
something
for
I'll
it.
figure out. Yeah.
Yeah, eventually, yes, definitely. Okay, so considering like in deep detail about DU as a university, and you have been pretty much active with the students as well. So someone who's coming from tier 2 or tier 3 city who has not that much of exposure, so like there are a lot of opportunities, like something is always happening in the colleges, like every time if I'm attending this one particular event, then there's this opportunity cost that I'm losing that another event. So if you have to suggest something, considering you have been super active back in your bachelor's or even now, so what would you like to recommend to the people who will be now entering into the college campus, north campus or south campus? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that you should keep yourselves open, and whatever opportunity you get, especially an opportunity not just to attend but to participate, without hesitation, take it up. Because I mean, as I mentioned, that students who are coming from these cities, they may have not had that privilege to get such opportunities in school. So there may be some kind of hesitation amongst some students. डर लगता होगा कि कैसे करेंगे, कैसे होगा, क्या हम कर पाएंगे या नहीं. But the point is that this is itni opportunities hai, you should be open to those opportunities, because they may be hidden talents within yourself that you may discover. For example, mera bhi aise hi tha, like writing articles. I used to always, when I was in school, writing an article for an English examination, or for in boards, or letter writing and all of those things, I didn't like that. मेरे को बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं लगता था. But then when I joined college, I got the opportunity for DU Beat. I saw their poster, so I thought, there was a hesitation within myself, my mind as well, that should I go for it or not. I don't like writing so much, but I said, let's give it a chance, let's apply for it, let's see what happens. And the opportunities, and then they provided me to write, to share my views. I met amazing people. I learned a lot to improve, and I realized that maybe I had a skill within me. So these opportunities will provide you with that platform where you can explore yourself, you can explore the hidden parts within you, you can understand yourself better, right? And you can meet new people, because the friendships that you make in undergraduation, they will be for a lifetime. And the kind of way you mold yourself, that is also, I won't say it's permanent, people can change over a period of time, but it's going to be there for a long time, and it's going to be difficult to change. So definitely go ahead, participate in opportunities. Join WhatsApp groups. There's so many people who make WhatsApp groups with events and everything. Be a little bit active on social media, keep yourself suppressed about what's happening, and participate as much as you can in different things. I mean, even if there's elections, you have an opinion, you want to do it, go ahead and do it. Go and participate and learn, because and don't be afraid of failures as well, right? That hesitation, because failures will always help us learn. Because I remember, I mean, talking about DUBeat again, that one of the first articles I wrote, and I submitted on a topic that I selected personally, was sent back, and I got a really bad review about how I'm writing articles and everything. So I failed, and there are many such failures that I've faced. But then I learned from that. I tried to improve myself. So that opportunity you will get. There's this saying that you never, you always, you either win or you either learn. You never lose. So that's the kind of thing that you should have, and that's the approach. And definitely the sky is the limit in DU. You'll have a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with your words, and I would like to add one thing. Do follow him on Instagram for more updates. Yeah, so that goes without saying. Before we wrap it up, I've got one question. Did you ever had this fear of being jack of all trade, master of none sort of thing, or have you ever received this advice from anyone, like not just parents or anyone, that you should just choose one stream and stick to it,
Yes,
or
yes, I face that every day. Maybe
oh,
some person or the other will give me that advice, and I do appreciate that. It's also, I mean, that one perspective is that if you focus on one skill, on one sort of stream of work or of hobby, interest, anything, that also, there's a thought process that will also lead to success. I mean, there's this saying that if you work on something for 10,001 hours, you perfect it. That's something that I heard someplace. So that exists, but I think diversity of opinion should be appreciated. That's not something that I agree with, because I think that I should keep, if I'm able to do multiple things at once. So then why not do that? So that is what I, that's what the approach I have is, because I've tried both ways. I've tried just limiting myself to one thing, that was the preparation. But it worked out, didn't work out, that's not what matters. But that's something that I feel wasn't built for me. I would do much better under pressure. I would do much better when I have multiple things on my head, because I'll be much more accountable. I'll not procrastinate, and the output is much better. That is what I've realized.
Well, thank you so much, Abhinandan.
Thank
In
you.
I'm sure the viewers who are watching this podcast must have learned a lot from your mistakes, from your learnings, and from your ideas you have mentioned about yourself. So
I
thank
hope.
you, thank you for being here, and I hope you have learned from this podcast. And if that is it from this dialogue, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay curious, stay open, and keep having not some conversation with everyone, because everyone carries a story with them. So till then, enjoy. Bye bye.